Guys, and welcome back to our FX17 coverage. This time it's Schematics Update FX17 Special Planet Coaster In-Depth Episode 2 AI and Management featuring N7. Who came up with that stupid name? Seriously, who did? Anyway, as you might already have guessed, I am joined by BlindIRL, Fog, and special guest N7. Hey guys, how are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
So, the first to introduce himself is N7.
Sure, I'm N7. My YouTube handle is Mike Sheets, I believe. That's my actual name. And I'm one half of Brocoaster.
I'm AdfoTV. You can find my stuff on YouTube and Twitter.
Hi, I'm Blind. You can find me at twitch.tv/BlindIRL, where I stream a variety of management games and a lot of Planet Coaster.
Hi, I'm Fog. I'm pretty much all over the place. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You'll probably bump into me at some point. I don't know. I get around.
So, Mike, you have the first topic.
I do. They showed at Expo that staff now take breaks. They leave their stalls and they go into what you would call like a staff rest building or something like that. They call it a staff management building. This is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree.
I haven't been a huge fan of the management of Planet Coaster, but I do like doing sort of like backstage areas and having places for staff to go. I like that part of designing in Planet Coaster. And so this is actually going to help us because we have already started planning out backstage areas that only staff would go into anyway. I think it's cool.
I think it's really cool from a management point of view as well, especially if it's done well. We talked about this a little bit before in the short little overview episode, but I really want to see like staff going into areas where guests won't. You know, like if you could, regardless of whether they give us staff only paths or something like that in the future, I just want to see staff be able to go into an area of the park and just have that area kind of closed off a little bit, because one of my concerns is that these are going to be designed to just be on main pathways, like in the middle of the open, just everywhere, and that's going to kind of throw it off a little bit. But if it's possible to kind of tuck these off, it'll be great for detail builders, and as well as just adding another element to casual players.
So I think it's actually possible. You would just put it in a place where that path never connects back up to. So if you just have a dead end path, then that staff will go back behind the gate and you'll be fine.
That's true, actually.
Yeah, and as long as there isn't really kind of a any attractions towards that end, there wouldn't really be too many reasons for the guests to go explore that way. It seems like the guests do kind of pathfind to entities, rides, and attractions, as opposed to just wandering and seeing what they can find, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to do stuff like that.
I wonder if entertainers need to take breaks too.
Entertainers do actually take breaks as well. There was a little bit of footage from the live stream which showed, I think, Tiki Chiki and King Coaster and Goldby actually coming out and going into the buildings. So,
oh, cool.
It's going to be...
So we'll have to have multiple entertainers.
Potentially, yeah. And I'm wondering whether you can set multiple people to the landmarks and entertainer points that you can do, so that in a similar way it kind of replaces the staff when they need to go take a break as well.
Cool.
One thing I'm really curious about is, if I understood them right, in the future you can hire vendors like you can now hire janitors. So let's say I have a park with 10 shops, I am able to hire 20 vendors, right? And the thing I'm asking myself is, you know, right now, if one of your vendors is unhappy, he just leaves the shop is closed forever till I manually reopen it, and all of a sudden a new staff member is there. I'm asking myself if we can avoid that by hiring more people. So if one guy leaves, another jumps in.
As a sandbox player, I just give my people like $2,000 a month and call it a day. But I'd be willing to play with that sort of thing, like hiring 3 shopkeepers and only paying them the average wage and see what happens.
Yeah, it would be quite interesting because the way that the staff will work now. It's going to be quite interesting to maybe have like a all-star kind of vendor who can do everything, is really highly trained, and if somewhere needs a lot of if someone has a lot of customers, you could potentially send them and they could clear the line better than another member of staff.
Oh, that's actually a very good point. They said I think it was in a live stream and not in the backstage talk we had with them, that staff will have perks.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think you're able to get perks and stuff for your staff members, but they, in a similar way, they also need to be trained up at the new building, which is the staff management building.
Exactly.
Which kind of segues quite nicely, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very curious to see more about that, but I think we should move on to the next one.
The staff management building, as we have kind of been teased and had a look at on the live stream, it's a 4 meter by 4 meter kind of building, which in a similar way that the shops are kind of a very generic block that you can then theme around. The impression is that it will be the generic block and you can theme it as you would like to. In a similar, it does kind of also look a little bit like the first aid room, where it kind of is a portal.
A portal into the other world.
Yeah, sure.
World 2.
So they go to the staff world, or I don't know, whatever kind of lore you want to exist. But
well, they've already got teleportation with the bathroom, so I mean,
true.
Anything's possible.
See, I was thinking kind of a Stranger Things type thing, where they...
Oh gosh, I'm so looking forward to the next season.
I know, right? I just want to say one thing about staff buildings, and that's I'm really happy that they're just a blank block, because I'm very excited to just go around cramming that into all my backstage areas.
Yeah, true.
It would give a reason for people to be moving back there.
Exactly.
But one thing I'm kind of intrigued as far as a management aspect is whether there is a capacity to the amount of staff that can be in there. So you might need maybe a larger staff management building at the main entrance, then maybe a couple more dotted around, because you need capacity for overall numbers. That could kind of be an interesting take of how you manage your park and where people will go to and their pathfinding around your park.
And also, you wouldn't want your vendors from way back in the park going all the way to the front of the park to take a break and then go all the way back. It would just be a waste of time.
Yeah,
it is a case of optimization and min-maxing almost. It feels strange to kind of use that in a Planet Coaster term, but
Min-maxing? I mean,
I think it'll be exciting. Yeah, min-maxing in a way.
I mean, it might sound weird, but this is a management game. Like, I know that's a foreign concept, but...
Really? I thought that was just Sandbox.
I know.
I've been bamboozled, I think. There's a campaign.
One thing I wanted to hit is that Parkitect does this already, and it does it pretty well. It doesn't quite have the peat brain that Planet Coaster does, and I think Planet Coaster's peat brain is a lot smarter than just the individual kind of units that walk around and eventually find things. But yeah, Parkitect is a good resource to see like how to set up backstage areas and how to do that sort of management. And if you want that sort of management like challenge, you should play that game. You know,
another thing that Parkitect does, which actually concerns me a little bit about Planet Coaster, is in Parkitect, every single stall, well, they are completely pre-built, so they're not just like a blank box in that game, but they have back doors.
Right.
So instead of the staff vaulting over the counter, which I think is hilarious, by the way, they walk into the back door in Parkitect. And I think that actually makes for easier layouts of backstage areas, whereas it's going to be, well, we still have to build the same way, and we're going to have like staff walking around among the crowd a whole bunch, which aesthetically, as trying to design realistic theme parks goes, that might have me scratching my head a little bit. But
I mean, it kind of fits the art style of Planet Coaster.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Another question is if there is a large crowd wanting food from Chief Beef, is it actually going to cause a problem for the vendors that actually get through that crowd to go and be able to serve them? Is that going to be something you need to solve via the pathing that you have available around there?
I would think at that point the vendor would be ghosted and he'd be like, deuces, and out. And then he'd close the shop and that would be it. Then the line would go away.
I think so, yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're still playtesting it right now.
But it's overall rather exciting, the prospects of some of these new management elements. This is possibly just on my end, but I am keen to understand the management, but I'm slightly unsure of how it properly works. I'm unsure of what guests actually want. I'm unsure on how the coaster ratings are actually perceived, whether it's a good rating or that, and that might be just a personal kind of problem on my end for not fully understanding it or not giving time to understand it. But
no, I don't understand it either. I don't understand why certain things have higher prestige than others. It doesn't make any sense to me.
And there's also the problem that I hardly open my park sometimes, and I hardly even let guests in, so they're lucky to be able to walk around and see the rides.
Is it like Cartman Land from South Park? It's like, you can't come!
And the best part is, you can't come!
Yeah, kind of, actually. I do that too. I jokingly refer to myself sometimes while I'm streaming as like some millionaire who doesn't want to let anybody else into the theme park.
Especially standing Kyle!
You can look, but
don't touch.
Yeah, maybe the closest that guests get to my park is when I let one in so that I can use the Tegid cam.
Excuse me, allow me to let you into my park so I can possess your mind.
And then it's like, right, cool, cheers, deletes path, go away.
God damn it, get the out of my way!
Yeah, and walk around as you.
Talking about the guest's mind, they changed the guest AI, or they will change the guest AI. For example, what they told us is that people are more interested into going a shop that has sitting areas close by than going to a shop without sitting areas close by.
It's I think the way they kind of posed it was some guests would actually kind of have a preference, at least, for what food or drink they would want at a given time. So maybe in a similar way to Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, where if a guest has something like chips, which are a very kind of salty kind of food, they might want a drink immediately after that. So that might be a case of how you lay it out, or watching for trends as they pathfind to different areas for different goods.
Yeah,
really.
I think it's brilliant.
I talked with Sam Denny early in the morning yesterday, and he was like, if you build a shop on the right side of a pathway and your sitting area on the left side of the pathway, and the shop is very crowded and people cross over to the sitting area all the time, that may get people who just want to pass by stuck, which is very interesting to me.
Oh, so it might actually screw up your layout.
Yeah, exactly. So you really need to plan out your layout way more than we have to do now.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And the thing I really like about Planet Coaster and working in my own park is that I actually let peeps in. And I actually like to see where they go and how they populate. And then I kind of rebuild my paths to alleviate like areas that are congested. So that actually makes me really excited.
It's interesting. It's a fascinating little tidbit.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite interesting to see how all these kind of management and kind of almost park management aspects evolve into a game where we can almost be working towards a goal, working towards an objective. Now, I think Frontier have given us the answer in the form of a scenario editor.
Yeah. I'm very, very excited for this, actually. I think it's possibly one of the most needed additions to the game since launch, is having an actual scenario editor, because crazy people like me can go in there and start building maps for people. The fantastic thing about this is, being able to set objectives and being able to give people a goal. There are so many players in the game that just take one look at that blank flat map and just go nope and never come back.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I have so many viewers who are like, I just want to play this game casually, but there aren't enough maps. And yeah, there are. I'm gonna do air quotes here so no one can see this, but maps on the workshop. But they're just sandbox maps that somebody doodled around in for an hour and a half. And actually having a proper scenario editor that's titled scenario editor, and people go in with the mindset of, I'm going to make a scenario. I think this is going to lead to some really interesting, well, first off, every single scenario from RCT2 is going to get recreated. Same with RCT1. As well as a bunch from RCT3.
Bumbly Beach.
Yep. I know there's already Evergreen Gardens on the workshop if anybody wants that, but I can't wait to like sit down and start making scenarios, like not even just by myself, but like as a community, and growing that. And then newer players who come in, hopefully they integrate workshop scenarios into the menu somehow for when you're selecting a scenario, and just make that super easy for people to find, because that's going to expand the casual player base.
Yeah.
That's good.
So working off of how it's integrated into the system, I at least would like to pitch an idea that I'm unsure whether it would get considered, but just theory crafting, speculation. Maybe once you sort out, once you finalize a scenario and you put it together, you know how in the actual campaign you have the almost the mascots of each kind of set. You have King Coaster, you have Gulpy Rex, and the Christmas ones and all that kind of stuff. What if they kind of implemented a system where they show you are able to kind of dedicate in a similar way to your avatar and home base? You can say put the scenario here because that's kind of where I've based it, being it's a North America park, it's a Africa park because I've created the savannah. You're
talking about climate.
Yeah, potentially. Like, just give an option for people to maybe say, okay, well, let's put all of this here. Or maybe in a similar way, it's a little bit of a throwback. There was Little Big Planet 2 and Little Big Planet 1 where you can actually populate your world with levels that you've made and patches that you can go into. So maybe if you had one dedicated to that creator and they kind of manage where the scenarios are going to be, it might be a lot of work, and I don't want to get people excited too much if that doesn't get implemented and show up. But I think it would be cool.
I think you could do that in Super Meat Boy too.
You're like talking about like a career system.
Yeah.
Like it would have, you had multiple scenarios to finish in like this one region.
Yeah.
Potentially,
I think you're kind of talking about a possible next step.
Hopefully. I'm scared to say too much and say this would be cool in case it doesn't show up. You know. I
mean, then there's me looking at this like this, okay? You upload a set of maps onto the workshop, title them in order of a campaign, and then do a little bit of Photoshop work, make a little fake like
then you have your career,
RCT3 expansion box, and put that on the workshop page and just be like, here is my expansion pack to Planet Coaster worth of scenarios. Dunsies.
That's clever.
Oh, and then you need to complete the ones above, and you unlocked it. Okay.
The reason I say that is because when Mario Maker first came out, there were people making sets of levels, and they would put them on Reddit, and they would like edit it onto a false cartridge.
Oh,
awesome!
Or like make little, or like use Photoshop and edit a fake Mario map. And that was the thing that people were doing a whole bunch at the beginning. It died off relatively quickly because it's a shit ton of work. But there was a small contingent of people that were like, no, you play these levels in order, and then everybody just started making torture platformers. So
I do feel like there's a little bit of a comparison there with people making stories behind their parks and also park maps, potentially going that extra mile to say, we're going to make this believable, or we're going to give you more kind of information about what you're looking at and why it is important and how it is formed.
Yes.
I think that above and beyond nature is awesome.
I don't know if you've seen Kinderly's Diamond Heights that he's kind of reimagining. Yeah. That would be a perfect like situation for that, because he does build like the maps and he does show like how this has evolved over time. This is the land that you can use and that sort of thing. It's really cool.
Maybe the lore from Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 to Planet Coaster is there was a minor earthquake and all of the isometric, very specific slopes and all that just molded into like a Planet Coaster mush kind of terrain.
There you go.
One thing I want to talk about when it comes to the scenario editor is a thing that NDC said on stream. I watched it back earlier a little bit because I was looking for a certain screenshot I wanted to take. And he basically said you can unlock things that are on the map, but not in your park. So basically you can decorate the surrounding, if I got him right.
Oh, nice.
Before you save that as a scenario. So the first thing I had in mind is, can we terraform the outside now? And can we finally build parking lots in the outside before I start my park?
Hopefully. And water maps.
Yeah.
And island maps. Okay.
You will still have the skybox in, so water parks or an island surrounded by completely water isn't possible right now, at least as long we don't have an option to change the skybox. But I think it's the first step in the direction, and I really hope the devs continue to build up to that point.
Yeah, there's no doubt they've given us enough room to do all that, but it would be nice to have like non-functional stuff outside so that we're not using up our valuable space.
It's just going to be an argument on, well, performance issues when there's already maybe 10,000 pieces just outside the park saying...
Well, that's on you. You're not forced to do that.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
There you go. Get a better PC.
I have a good enough PC, actually.
Oh yeah, no, just that's the answer. That's the solution.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think that was Planet Coaster's original slogan was "Get a better PC."
I think people did buy PCs so that they could run this game, which is, well.
Hey, I did that for Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 because I was sick of it crashing all the time.
That's dedication, huh?
That's dedication. When you spend like 600 or 800 or even 1,000 hours in a game, I mean, a lot of your life is right there. So you might as well enjoy it.
Terrifyingly, yeah.
Terrifyingly accurate.
So, guys, I think we're done with this episode.
Cool.
So let's wrap it up. We introduce ourselves once again. I'm AdfoTV. You can find my stuff on YouTube and Twitter.
Hi, my name's Greg. The internet calls me Blind. I stream a lot of management games on Twitch. You can find me on twitch.tv/BlindIRL.
I do stuff.
He does indeed do stuff. You can find him at fog_twitch on Twitch.
He makes text, doesn't he? He makes fonts.
Foggy the font guy.
Yeah, just the font guy, I guess. But I've managed to update some of my media as fog_UK and also on YouTube under /C/foggy. And yeah, I'll probably see you guys around.
Last but not least, and so
hey, I also do stuff. I have a YouTube channel. It's Mike Sheets. I do Planet Coaster. I've got some old No Limits 2 stuff on there too. Yeah, and I'm awesome, and my bro's awesome, and you guys are awesome, and everybody's awesome.
Way.
Yay!
So, to our listeners, thanks for listening. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, whatever it is, leave a comment down below, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right.
Cut. Hard cut.